Well, Eneasz Brodski is my name. Um, if some people may have heard it, I found this at Vibe Camp, which was great. Every now and then, someone would come up to me and like know who I was. But if you know of me, it is probably because of the Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality audiobook, which I did quite a while ago. But every now and then, people still are like, "Hey, you're that guy," and I'm like, "Heck yeah, that's me." That was a fun several years. I am now 43. I was about to say 42, but sadly, no longer the meaning of life. What was it?
Oh,
A,
location?
Location, Denver. Uh, I, I used to be very against long distance relationships because being physically present with someone is like incredibly important to me. But now I'm in a long distance relationship and it is amazing. And the fact that flights out of Denver are freaking cheap because Frontier's hubbed here. And I now have extreme flexibility in my days since I kind of work for myself. It just makes it easy. I can fly pretty regularly to people, and as long as there's some place to stay. Sometimes, we split an Airbnb, but by people I mean one person in specific.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm less against long distance relationships now. But still, it'd be nice to have someone in that city that I'm actually staying at where we can go to events together and hang out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're a poly then?
Yes, yes.
And are you looking for more casual or long term or just sort of whatever?
I I don't know. I just like to meet people and make connections, and sometimes they're more casual friend things, and sometimes they go very long. And I guess sort of looking for both, but I'm in a phase right now where I have met someone who is so different from anyone I've met before that I'm like, I really like this. And before I was like, I can make, a relationship with anyone and it'll be wonderful. And it always has been. But now I'm like, oh, there's one very specific thing that I am looking for that I did not know. And now it's going to be, in my opinion, much harder to find someone, which is
Oh,
awkward.
what is the thing?
Oh, hey, kitty.
Oh,
Sorry, the cat just came by and started meowing.
adorable.
The thing is someone who is, I hesitate to use these words because I feel like they might be unkind, but emotionally mature. Um, just
That's
no.
valid.
I mean, the crazy thing is, I was always attracted to like the crazy sort of Harley Quinn kind of destroy everything girls. But like now that I'm with someone who's emotionally mature and like has her life in order and understands what she's feeling and thinking and how to relate to other people in a healthy way, I'm like, healthy relationships are the best. This is so good.
Did it feel like you had to make a trade-off before between like that sort of like bubbly ADHD chaotic energy and emotional stability and now you don't
No,
or
not at all. I didn't know that existed.
ah,
I just
okay.
thought that, everyone's crazy, right? We're all
Yeah.
kind of fucked. We don't know what we're doing in life. Like, we're doing the best we can, and the people that are having more fun with it are more fun to be around.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so you're expecting like a different flavor of fucked that would just be less entertaining.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
makes a lot of
know.
sense.
I didn't know there's healthy people.
Okay, presumably, like, your current partner still has like some kind of flaws, but my thinking is that when you're oh, so cute. When you're trying to find somebody to be in like a more long-term serious thing with, it's like you want their flaws to be things that really would bother other people and don't actually bother you that much, kind of. Is that sort of
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're finding?
right. The being able to talk through things and share your inner states without without being very aggro about it, I think, has
Mm.
been extremely nice. I I spent a lot of my time in previous relationships kind of like managing my partner's feelings, like what can I say, what can't I say, and there's always a bit of a performance in those kinds of relationships, like you're censoring yourself maybe, and I am very slowly learning I don't have to do that. Like I just say the things I'm actually feeling, and so far every time it's been okay.
That's amazing. All
It,
right.
it is.
Okay, so it sounds like generally you're pretty patient then, and this is good for your
Yeah.
partners, but not necessarily good for you.
I don't want to say that out loud because there's a possibility some of my exes will see this.
That's fair.
I don't want to be mean to them. I still like them all. I
Yeah.
mean, some of them don't like me, but
One of the things I was worried about when I'm like thinking about interviewing people publicly about their, like what they're looking for in a relationship and their past relationships is that most people don't really want to like come across as shitting on their exes, but I do think there's just like a lot of things that are compatibility issues where it's like, I don't know, I'm sure there are like nice ways to frame things, or like just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean that it's like not going to work for somebody else. I don't know. But it is
yeah,
hard to phrase it in a way that doesn't come across as, yeah.
right. Like they're all wonderful people, just weren't quite right for each other.
Mm-hmm. I see you have a cat. That's excellent. I
Well,
was going to ask about pets.
this cat sadly is not my cat.
Oh,
This is
bummer.
my ex's cat, and I am still living here. I'm going to be moving out actually later this week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cat's not coming with me.
Oh. Do you
Uh,
do you want to have pets, or is this a
Either way is fine with me.
okay.
I like animals. I've never taken on the responsibility personally of having one, but I've had relationships where the lady had a animal, and I was happy to help take care of them.
Okay,
And I
cool.
have around.
So no like serious pet allergies or anything like that either.
No, nothing
Okay.
like that. I think people, I think people who have pets that can't love them back are a little weird. Um, like if you have a reptile as a pet, I think that's a neat science experiment. But
Wait, I thought you were goth though.
that I was what?
I thought you were goth.
I am. I am. I don't. I can have unorthodox goth opinions.
It's fair, yes. Not all goths have to be the same. That is funny though. Yeah, you seem generally very open, and like I would expect you'd have to be pretty open to be down for to date somebody with a reptile, probably.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would. I
Yeah.
just think it's a strange life choice.
Hmm. This makes sense. Are you familiar with the Twitter account, the girl that keeps pet leeches? This is an absolute diversion. I'm just curious if you've seen this.
No, and this sounds horrible.
Yeah, you
Please
do have
tell
to
me she
feed them.
doesn't feed them on herself.
Yes, that is how you feed them. Okay, so that's the line.
A cat, Maybe not a cat. Get an animal that is not so lovable. Get like an ugly goat.
Yeah, sometimes people just want to like love the things that seem like they aren't lovable.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, good on her. She's got a very big heart. Maybe using it in the wrong way.
okay, completely unrelated question. You said earlier that you were self-employed. Do you mind if I ask what you do?
Ha. So the main thing that pays my bills is I own a number of townhomes around Denver and I rent them out.
Oh, okay.
Which is it pays kind of enough to live on if I live cheaply.
Hmm.
I also do podcasting and writing fiction, and those things give a little extra money. Again, if I had to rely on those, I would die of starvation. Or actually, probably not starvation because calories can get real cheap, but I would be exposed to the elements and then die of rainfall or something.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Oh, what were you doing before?
Before I was an accountant.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right.
Cool. I hear it's the most boring thing ever.
I
It's
hear
used
this.
as a cover by assassins because no one asks. Like, oh, accountant. Okay, great. Moving on.
You don't come across as an accountant, which makes me wonder if this is normal for accountants actually, like if there's really an accountant type or
I don't know. I mean, I saw other accountants at the office, but I never really hung out with them. So,
okay. Did they seem to hang out much with each other?
no.
Okay. Solitary
Um,
beasts.
Pretty solitary, yeah.
Interesting.
When our office wanted to go to an open office plan, they literally revolted and just said, if you do this to us, we will all quit en masse. You know, me too, right? Because we need walls. We don't want to make eye contact with anybody ever. And so we got to keep our cubicles.
Okay, so the thing that you guys probably have in common is, well, I don't know, you don't seem that introverted though. Or would you consider yourself an introvert?
Uh, there's the constant arguing about what actually is introvert and extrovert, right? Um, no, I will say that I was an introvert in my youth, and I have over the past 10, 15 years shifted to the point where I think I'm actually extroverted now for the most part. It's still incredibly hard to walk up to a stranger and make conversation. But I've been doing it quite a bit over the last few years, and it's becoming easier.
Nice. Have you made
Yeah.
any friends this way? Just random
Yeah.
people in public? Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Just, I mean, I don't know, friends. Yeah. Yes. I met just a couple new people over the weekend, and haven't exchanged any further texts yet, but plan to. Be like, hey, anything going on this weekend? Or like, here's that Denver Ladies of Metal show that I told you about.
That's awesome. Where did you meet these people?
At a burlesque show.
Awesome. No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I had a new friend who was doing a burlesque show, and I was like, okay, I'll come out. Like, I went once to a burlesque show like 15 years ago, and I thought it was really dumb and boring. And I went this time, and it was actually significantly more fun. I think maybe knowing what it was like had made it easier, and also like seeing a friend up there performing, you feel better for the friend. So, yeah. And I talked to people around me and made a new friend, which is not a thing that I had done before. So, a lot of new good things.
Exciting. So burlesque is not really your scene normally then.
It's not because of the same reason like strip clubs aren't my scene. Like you can't interact with the people, and you can't have any sort of meaningful interaction at all. And if I just want to look at naked ladies, the internet is 10 times better for that. So I didn't understand what the point was. The burlesque thing this time was more fun because I was more social and I knew one of the dancers. Like I actually got to chat with more people, and I talked to one of the other dancers and like found out how she did her routine, because this is a thing I'm kind of hoping to get into myself, or at least try. And she apparently did not practice at all. She knew the song really well. Like she listened to the song a ton. She was like, I just go up and I improvise,
Whoa.
and because I need it to be fun for me too. And if I had a routine that I practiced, it wouldn't be fun. And I was like, that is freaking amazing, because like what she did was so cool. I would not have expected you could just improv that.
Wow, that's wild.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess maybe just general practice like as an entertainer or performer or something somehow helps with that. That's crazy though. What you're saying, you're interested in doing a routine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like what kind of routine?
I, dance around to a song I like and take off most of my clothes.
All right. Yeah, I haven't actually been to a burlesque show. I'm vaguely familiar, but more maybe with the aesthetic than with the actual.
So probably a goth aesthetic, because that's, my thing. I have a fair number of goth costumes. I know a decent amount of goth songs, and it really like speaks to me. But also I have just a really funky multicolored suit in the basement, and I thought it would be really fun to do just the Gigolo, the David Lee Roth version. So maybe I'll do that at some point.
That sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
How would you get, like, are you just going to go to the burlesque place and be like, hey, are you taking like auditions or?
That was another one of the reasons I actually went this weekend, because I wanted to find out how do you do this. And I got a couple of people say, go to this Facebook group. Every now and then they'll be like, hey, we're going to do a burlesque thing. Anyone want to come in and audition? It's like, cool. It sounds relatively easy. So you just show up when they have an open call and show them what you can do, I guess. Like I haven't done it yet, so I'll find out.
If you got the guts, you might as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you done much? I mean, you do like a podcast. Have you done like performance stuff in the past?
What do you mean by performance stuff?
I don't know, just like sort of live in front of an audience where you have to be kind of on your feet.
Sorta.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I don't think anything fictional, but I've read some fiction stuff just briefly for a few minutes. There's a few times I would interview people, and which is kind of a performance thing, I've been on quite a few panels at sci-fi literature cons,
Oh, cool.
which is a lot of like answer random questions, try to be entertaining, try to play with the audience if you can. And I dance fairly frequently. I try to go out at least a couple times a month, and half of that is just performing,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's okay. Wow. Now I have a bunch of questions. All right. So the sci-fi panels. What are the panels about, or like how did you end up on these panels?
I've gotten published in a number of venues for short stories,
Okay.
like Asimov's magazine, Analog magazine. And once you have that, you can just write to one of the local cons, be like, hey, I've been published here and here. Do you need more people for your panels? And they always do. I was a coordinator for the Denver Comic Con Sci-Fi Lit track for 2 years. And yeah, you want as many people as you can. You're like, what does this person write? What can they do? Where can I put them? Because you want at least 3 or 4 people on a panel, and you want to change it up so it isn't always the same people, right? So yes, they are very happy to take anyone with any experience writing, and then they give you a list of every panel that they're thinking about doing, and whichever ones get the most interest from panelists, they put together and throw some people on it.
Oh, that's awesome, actually. Okay, cool. How did you get started writing?
There's two possible answers to this. I guess the first answer, which everyone really gives, which is the cliche answer, is like I started writing in second grade and never really stopped.
Hmm.
But
That's solid, though. That gives you a lot of practice.
right. And it's not true that I never really stopped. There was a 10-year period where I actually did stop entirely.
Oh, wow.
But the more correct answer, probably the one that isn't a cliche, is that I was at a sci-fi book club, which I'd been going to for a while. And there were 2 people there who were writers who had been published places as well. And one of them had actually won one of the Writers of the Future awards. And he encouraged me a bit to write. And I was like, I don't know, what would I even write about? It's been so long since I've written anything. And one of the other members of the book club was like, write me a story where clocks are going backwards. And just having some sort of like idea like that, just anything to spark, you're like, okay. And so I wrote a story like that. And that one's actually never been published. It is still sitting somewhere. But my second story that I wrote got published in Asimov's magazine, which I didn't realize was a big deal at the time.
Awesome.
I got some pushback from the editor. She was like, I like all this, but I don't like the ending. Can you change it? And I went back to my book club and I was like, I don't know. Is it compromising my artistic integrity to change the ending? And the guy who had published was like, on your second story ever, Asimov wants to buy it. You fucking idiot. Change the ending. I didn't realize Asimov was a big deal at the time. So yeah, I did that. And just having that in your credit line makes a lot of people take a second look at what you submit.
That's really cool.
So, yeah. Nice.
Oh man. Do you tend to like date creative people too, or like?
One of my best relationships was with a creative person, and I want to caveat that. I thought it was a very good relationship, and it was a very hard breakup for me. So also not a great relationship, but I really loved it. So yes, I like dating creative people, but not everyone I've dated is a creative person. So I like a lot of people. It's hard not to find something to love in almost everyone.
I agree. Yeah. It feels like, yeah, it's kind of sad that other people don't feel that way, and I feel like it's mostly because they're afraid. But
Is that it?
I don't know. Like, I think it's like my pet theory is that it's like a fear of rejection thing, and like as you get more comfortable, then it's a lot easier to like people and not worry about it so much. I don't know.
Huh. I feel if that's the case, I almost feel like I've kind of regressed recently.
Really?
Because, yeah, well, I mean, I would always just like love on everyone, and I try to hold it back, because it's uncool. You don't want to do that. You don't want, but it was very easy for me to fling my love around, and that ended up hurting people because apparently that's a big deal.
Yeah.
and so now I'm trying to be more conservative with where I put my attention and what I signal to people, what I put out. So yeah, I don't know. It's not fair that you can't actually love everybody, but there's 8 billion of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. There's not enough time. Maybe immortality soon. We
Yeah.
can make a project of it.
We'd have to stop or greatly slow down the reproduction rate,
That's
though.
true. Yeah, that's true. I still can't figure out whether the solution is rein in the affection, or if it's like find people who are more affectionate and understand this. It's probably a little bit of both, or try to get a bead on what the person is like that you're talking to. But
I think matching is incredibly important. Find other people who are in the same emotional makeup, emotional constitution as yourself, where they want a lot of affection from a lot of people, and don't mind if there's periods of time where you don't have that much focus. I think I'm very strange in that I don't, either I suppress it so well that I don't know that I have jealousy, or I actually just don't have jealousy feelings, at least in a sexual or romantic way.
Based?
Um, well, I mean, I don't know. It makes me weird. Nobody else that I've met has been like, yeah, no, that's normal. You're a well-adjusted guy.
It seems exceptionally well adjusted, but definitely not normal. But it seems good if it's causing you less suffering. Although I guess it could be alienating,
Maybe. I don't know.
or I
But
guess yeah. If you have to manually model other people who aren't like this, then it probably makes managing their emotions a little harder.
well, I mean, alienation has been a long theme in my life, and so I don't. Maybe this is one of the reasons.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
Yeah, but and in terms of scheduling, I have a number of poly friends who say basically poly people are just folks with a calendar kink.
I think I've heard that before. Yeah.
You need to meet up and make schedules, and yeah,
I feel like so many, well, at least like so many people in our circles are poly and ADHD, and I'm like, how do you manage like, how do you do that? Like,
it's you're strongly motivated, or at least I believe most people would be strongly motivated by their relationships. So
that
you
makes
can
sense.
manage your ADD long enough to figure out a calendar,
Yeah, yeah,
or you tick off your partners enough that they stop dating you.
yeah.
It's a problem that solves itself.
Or instead of having an alarm for yourself, you just have like your partner text you angrily when you haven't communicated recently enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask about like what you like to do for fun. It sounds like dancing a couple times a month, and
Hmm. Maybe more often, but I I don't know. It fluctuates how often I go out, but I
mm,
really do love the dancing. Um, what do I do for fun? Gosh. Um, I sometimes play video games to unwind, but not very often and not for very long. I don't feel like I'm a video game playing person.
mm.
I like to hang out with people, I guess. I like to meet people and chat, and oftentimes I read interesting things online. It kind of sucks because I used to read a lot of books, and now most of the stuff that I read is blog posts or, God forgive me, tweets. they can they can be fun and interesting. Yeah, right. Chatting with people on Discord, I feel like it takes up too much of my life. The one thing that I use to justify this is that I have podcasts where I often talk about the things that I have found. Like, hey, did you
Oh,
see this latest thing that was published at the New Atlantic or on Slate Star Codex or whatever? And so then I'm like, I am providing a service. This is not just entirely mental masturbation and brain hedonism. I am helping the world, which I know is bullshit, but it's the only way I can make peace with myself.
I mean, this makes sense. Plus, it's not like everybody's always going to be using all their time like perfectly. If you're going to be wasting your time, it's nice if it's something that then you can talk to other people about.
Yeah. But yeah, I think right now the majority of my free time is spent with the lady that I'm dating long distance because we don't get to see each other all that often, for a few days every few weeks, and those days are just nonstop, jam packed, having a great time, all leisure.
Nice.
So
Do you go
yeah.
out a bunch with partners generally, or stay in more?
Um, Gosh, this is going to be a boring stretch
It's all
in
right.
the
We can
video.
cut it out.
Okay. The Wow. I don't I don't know. I do like to go out to some things. I don't like to go out to too many things.
Mm,
I guess I like a balance because it's wonderful staying in and talking and really learning about each other and having a lot of sex. But it's also great to go out and see nice things. I recently come to realize that a lot of dating is just going out somewhere to change the scenery and talk in a different place and maybe see some things that you talk about. You're like, were those not the coolest rocks over there? Like, yes, they were. Let's talk about rocks for a little bit. So,
yeah, it is nice when you're in a stage with somebody where talking about rocks is kind of pleasant and not just like, oh God, we've run out of things to talk about.
right. I mean, I bring up the rock specifically because I was thinking about I recently went to a natural history museum with someone and they had a whole rock exhibit. And I would have never thought that rocks were interesting before, but these were actually interesting rocks. And we talked about them. And it's like, I would have never had a conversation about rocks with this person if we hadn't gone out to
That's
a
great.
museum.
All right, so yeah, what kind of music are you into? Like what bands and stuff?
Um,
Or is
mm,
it more like for dancing purposes types of thing?
it's more for dancing purposes. I like to say that I like more kind of industrial stuff and progressive, like experimental things. Uh, a lot of weird, unusual stuff. But I hate that that makes me sound like a hipster. And the thing is, I do like pop things as well. Just there's something about the novelty of something weird that really tickles me. I guess what I really like is to see things live when it's still a small band trying out new things and in small venues. Like I've been to Red Rocks before. The Red Rocks Amphitheater is pretty famous in Denver because it is just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful natural amphitheater. Not entirely natural, like they did some bulldozing too to make it look better and sound better. Uh, but it's so damn big. Even if you're in the front row, you're at least 20 feet away from the
Oh,
stage.
jeez.
Yeah, and it's not fun. I like to be like pressed up against the stage, one that's no more than 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and like you can actually see them fingering the guitar. You can like maybe get hit by the drummer's sweat if he flings his hair too hard. Like I want to be pulled into their projection of emotion, and that's much harder when you're far away. So I can't see any big bands really because once you're big, you have to go to a big venue so all your fans can see you. So I see more of these smaller bands that probably aren't going to go anywhere, but have a lot of passion.
That's
I
awesome.
like that. Yeah. Did you go to Ayla's Dance Hell at Vibe Camp?
I did, yeah. That was. I wanted that to be my jam, but I do not.
Oh no, I enjoyed all that music too.
Oh, sick. Oh, yeah. The music was actually better than I thought it would be, given the purpose, and how weird she said it was gonna get. That part was pretty fun. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the dancing that you were not
Yeah.
down
It was.
for.
I just like couldn't understand the brief really, and
I
just
thought it was perfect. She absolutely set up what was supposed to happen and drew in everyone who like wanted to be into it into that right headspace. I had a not entirely transformative, but close to transformative experience doing that. Like it changed my weekend.
that's fucking awesome. Yeah. It sounded like a lot of people who like don't even dance at all went and had a really good experience and felt like they learned some stuff. And I just felt like a weird outlier who's like, maybe because I already danced like that. I don't know.
They're all trying to be like me.
I don't know. Do you so when you go to shows, do you just kind of have a venue you like and then just show up, or do you research it much first?
I well, by you mean shows with live performances, or do you mean like okay? No, I often just get invited by friends every now and then. There's a couple bands that I follow, which very rarely play because they're adults holding down full-time jobs. But
Those are the
every
best
now and
bands.
yeah. But every now and then they'll play and I go follow them. I really like Herman's Hideaway here in Denver. There's the High Dive. There's a few places that are like, small little bars off on Broadway, and they have a nice, decent stage, and you can go there and jam to bands.
Sick. Is this like how important is it to you to be able to like share music with a partner?
Important. Um, I it's probably not a huge deal because I like a lot of music. I'm real quick. Why do you not like pop music?
I have this weird thing. It's almost like misophonia for when people try to sound sexy, and that's like the singing style that's been popular for the last like 30 years basically that you can't really get away from in pop music.
Huh? How do people try to sound sexy?
It's hard to explain. It's like the way they breathe and stuff. Like Britney Spears is an extreme example, right? She's like obviously trying to sound sexy, but even like um I don't
Like
know.
I would not have known.
Yeah, it's annoying because it's really hard to describe to people, and it drives me nuts when I hear it. I'm just like, how are you not all hearing me? Yeah, it's weird and annoying. I don't know what it is.
You want to get sexy with me? We're gonna have some sexy dancing now.
And like I don't even mind it so much if they're singing about that, right? If the topic is this, but they'll be singing about like potato chips or like about and I'm just like, what? Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. What
No,
what,
I
what
got.
were you asking?
So, God, no, I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah, the music. The
Yes.
music is important. Yes. I have been told by my girlfriends that they like that I'm musical. I'm going to be taking singing lessons very soon
Hell
because
yeah.
I do not want to hurt the people I'm with much more in their ears as I have been, because I will frequently whistle or sing a little thing, and I'm not good at it. It is tolerated and maybe thought to be adorable, but it is certainly not beautiful. But yes, I often have some kind of music running in my head. I don't play music that frequently, but I'm generally happy when people around me are playing music, and yeah, I like music a lot. I guess I hate to say this because it sounds so elitist and shitty, but it's an actual thing where I just legitimately don't really like rap and don't really like country.
Mm.
And I mean, obviously, there's some songs in those genres which are fine, and I some even that I really love. But for the most part, I don't know what it is. It's just a strange thing that repels you, and I think it is. I'm reading up a little bit about it, and it seems to be something that actually is in the human condition, and you grow up with it. But I was very never understanding why some people are repelled by classical music. Like you read stories about
Yeah.
like some shops will play classical music to keep the teenagers away. And my parents would play classical music in the house, so I never had any problem with it. I was like, this is beautiful. What's wrong with it? But like then you run into something that you never heard until your late teens, and it just something about it like sort of grates.
But yeah, so do you get along well with your parents?
I do now.
Oh yeah, had a
I,
phase, or
the what?
did you have like a phase of not getting along, or like a
My entire teenagehood, especially with my dad. I don't know, he's not great to live with, which my mom will tell you, and she will tell you for 40 years, and she will keep living with him because she's crazy. but but once I moved out of the house and got some space, I still had some bitterness for a few years, but eventually that died down. And as long as you don't have to live with my dad, he can be a really swell guy.
yeah,
So
relatable? I understand.
yeah, so I do get along with them quite well now, and I'm almost starting to think it might be a red flag when people don't get along with their parents,
Mm.
because the some of the most healthy relationships I've seen are people that do get along with their parents, even if they have some differences and difficulties with them. And the people who just like really hate their parents, things tended to end poorly.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah,
Did it seem like it's because it's like I imagine there's two categories of people, right? There's the people who have like really obvious, clear reason to hate their parents that you can't really
right,
reconcile, and then people where it's like they hate their parents, but it's like the reasons seem a little more forgivable or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Obviously, I mean, if there's been abuse,
Sure.
something awful, then yeah, you can hate your parents. My granddad on my dad's side was an alcoholic, and he never liked him. But if you're just beefing with your parents because reasons, I don't know, eventually you grow up and you put it behind you.
Yeah, I would expect people who have weird beefs with their parents like that to easily develop weird beef with other people too, and not be great at handling conflict, maybe. So that seems like a reasonable thing to be wary of, probably.
Yeah.
Like, how much does it matter to you if partners get along with your parents? Do you tend to introduce them, or?
I always have before. It's nice. Um, I don't know if it matters. Like they really disapproved of my second wife, and I didn't give a fuck because I'm like, you're not dating her. I am. I like her for reasons that I don't expect you to share. Um, but it's nice, and I have come to trust them a little bit more, where I will at least take their opinions into consideration.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not necessary. They come from the old world. They have strange opinions. So until very recently, they believed that only criminals and people in the military have tattoos.
Okay,
And,
yep.
yeah, yeah. And they finally were like, only criminals, people in the military, and Americans have tattoos.
Don't tell them about Brazil.
Okay. I'm sure they'll find out eventually. They're traveling now that they're retired.
Oh, that's wholesome. That's cool that they're still. I mean, yeah, it's. I assume good that they're still together. Maybe not if it sounds like your mom's putting up with a lot of shit. Does it feel like? Do they feel like decent role models as far as like ways of
No,
interacting? Okay.
terrible. They should have divorced when I was before I even got into my teens. When I was 8 or 9, I was serving as the best therapist an 8 or 9 year old can be for your mom, where you just like listen and you're like, wow, that's terrible. I'm so sad that dad's doing that, you know?
Oh God.
And
That
yeah,
explains so much though.
like, what does it
You were
explain?
just telling me that you tended to date women who have like a lot of emotional sort of issues that you end up managing. Not to therapize you, but
All right, well, I'm getting over that now. And
good.
my mom has lately been talking about maybe moving into a different house from my dad, so maybe she's
Wow.
getting over it too.
With good
I
luck.
don't actually believe she will, because it's not like she hasn't been saying this for the past decade.
Oh jeez.
I
Sometimes
know.
people move slowly, but yeah, it's rough to watch your parents doing things to hurt themselves like that.
Yeah. It's it's hard when you've been married as long as they are. Like, they're in their mid late 60s. There's so much entwined in each other's lives.
Mm.
Like, unentwining all that is would be ridiculously hard, but maybe that's why they should have done it 30 years ago. On the other hand, they make a really good business team, and like,
Right.
it's been incredibly financially good for them to be together. Like, she handles the office business stuff, he handles the actual, construction of houses and things, and they've managed to make a nice living, a nice nest egg to retire on. They probably wouldn't have had that if they separated.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you choose to stay with people for various reasons.
Hmm. Okay, what's it like living with you in terms of like cleanliness and like chore distribution and things like this? If this is a thing that you would anticipate doing with a partner at some point.
I would absolutely, if you're living
Okay.
with a partner.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Or sorry, I
interesting.
mean like if living with a partner is something that you want to do again, then
Oh yes,
yeah.
I would really like to.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point. My, Ideally, I would like to live with multiple partners,
Mm.
and maybe like in a big old house, and there's 10 of us all together, and everyone's dating everyone else, and that
Okay.
would be, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna ask about that. I was like, right, there's a bunch of different types of poly, and I always forget to ask like which flavor, because this actually matters a lot. Also, you're a bit out of focus. Sometimes it's
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I realize this is very pie in the sky and probably never happen kind of thing. But ideally, I would like to live in a group house, because I love being around a lot of people all the time. They don't even have to be romantically involved with me. I just want to be around a lot of folks. But ideally, I would like to have 2 or 3 like partners, and hopefully they could live with me, most of them at any rate, and they would have other partners, and it would be great if those partners could live with us too. And that's where I'm getting like the 10-ish number. So even if I'm only with 2 or 3 people, they've got partners and they've got partners, and everyone all together there. And yeah,
That sounds really nice, actually.
it does. I know. Everyone should get to live that life.
Yeah, right. At the very least, it'd be really nice to have your own little separate apartments with like a shared space that you can easily go into, even if you aren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. So in terms of like what is it like living with you? Are you
Oh,
a neat
yeah.
freak? Are you dishes in the sink for weeks at a time?
Definitely not dishes in the sink for one time. I just wrote a blog post about this,
No
actually,
kidding.
because I was thinking about my living situation and how it's changing currently. I actually kind of like cleaning. Not all aspects of cleaning, but like, I love vacuuming. The lines that you get on the carpet afterwards
Oh,
just really
I get that.
feel, yeah, they feed my soul. But in general, I try to, like, I'm not hugely neat freak. If there's some mess around, that's fine. But I generally tend to clean up. I do less with the sweeping. I don't know why. I never really liked sweeping. But yeah, I put away dishes. I keep the counters clean. I wipe up in the bathrooms a bit, and I like doing it because it feels. I mean, first of all, it feels kind of meditative. You always know this is a thing you do. You can rearrange matter in your environment, and it feels like you're fighting against entropy. And I love that feeling. Like, screw you, universe. I'm going to impose awesome order on things. And it also, like, a lot of people like to make their places their own, like have some sort of aesthetic to the place. But you don't get to see that if there's clutter everywhere. Like, you need to get that shit out of the way so you can see the inner beauty come out. So I enjoy doing that kind of work. It is meditative to use that word again, like an idiot using the same word twice. um, but I don't do I don't do it excessively. Like sometimes dishes do pile up a bit. Sometimes the carpets go a few extra days than they should before getting vacuumed because I'm busy sometimes too. But I don't mind doing it is the thing. Like if I were to live with a bunch of other people, I would be happy to do a lot of the cleaning. Um, yeah, because it feels like a nice thing to do for people you love. I think that's one of the problems with living with people you don't love, that it feels more like a chore. And if you are living with people you do love, it feels like something you are doing to make their lives better and a way you can contribute to their happiness. And so it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like being in love.
That's so wholesome. I was gonna be like, why isn't that one of the love languages? But I guess that's acts of service. That's just like specifically cleaning related acts of service. That's
Yeah.
really good. Um, oh shit, I came up with a bunch of questions and then I like completely forgot about them because it was too wholesome.
I'm not that wholesome.
Like, are you pretty happy with your dating life generally?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would expect so because it seems like you make for a very good partner and you're very extroverted and like people and these seem like all the things that would make for a good experience. That's
See?
good.
Yeah. I sometimes feel a little bit too stretched thin,
Mm.
and other times I'm just like, I don't know. Things vary, but overall, yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, obvious question I completely forgot about. Do you want to have kids? Do you already have any kids? Is this
I have no children. Um, for the longest time, I thought that I would never want any kids, that they're too much of an interference in life. I've recently been really coming around to actually maybe having kids would be great. So, yeah, I think one of the things that really stopped me from having kids, I mean, part of it was my experience growing up and having a lot of depression and all that shit. But I'm going to sound like a very selfish person when I say this, and there's no way around it. This is just a selfish thing that I had. I did not want to have kids with someone if I was going out and working 40 hours a week, and like, because at that point, it feels like you're investing so much money into people that you'll never see. Maybe you can hang around with them a little on the weekends or whatever, but like, it, it just did not feel the effort. Why would I sacrifice so much of my life for so little gain? And now that I am able to stay home a lot and take care of the house and interact with the kids and teach the kids stuff instead of sending them off to some freaking prison where they're bored and just schools are so terrible. Like now that I have the now that I have the ability to stay home and take care of kids, I actually think that would be really kind of cool.
nice?
But I understand that there's very few women that are actually into like, oh yeah, I would like to be with someone who wants to stay home and take care of the kids. So, you know, who knows how that'll shake out. It'd be really cool to have like 3, 4 kids all running around the house at once.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does it matter too much if they're like adopted or biological or anything like this?
Oh, I was very much on board with only biological for the longest time.
Mm.
Um, if I was in a like poly household, I would be more than happy to have other people's kids that are part of the whole polycule there too, like treat them like my kids.
Mm.
But um, ultimately, yes, this is part of that selfishness thing. I would really need at least some of them to be my biological kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I think this is a reasonable and normal amount of selfishness. Oh yeah, okay, so you're not a fan of schools. Would you want to homeschool them? Is that the
Yes,
vibe? Do you feel very
absolutely.
strongly about this?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Homeschool or some kind of non-traditional school, maybe like get together with other parents. Definitely not the traditional school system
Awesome.
because
Endorsed. Oh yeah, so I guess I should probably ask about like is there any like politics or religion or anything like this that's quite important to you or important that you share with your partner?
yes, can't be too religious. I'm at this point starting to be okay with secular religions, as long as you don't believe in crazy woo things, uh, which unfortunately, since I was often attracted to very like witchy, crazy-ish girls, was a conflict problem because they're all often believing in spirits or whatever, and so all the magic parts of religion without the community,
Mm.
which is kind of lame. But yeah, could not be very religious, honestly. Some sort of secular atheist would be preferable by a lot. Um, the politics thing is hard. Some sort of centrist, sort of libertarianish. I've had some extremely bad experiences with woke people a few years back, and I just um, I lost a partner because of it, and it was the relationship, the that I really cared about, the creative person, and it was I don't know. I have kind of a chip on my shoulder about that, but also like the far right sucks. The racism isn't great, and the fact that I would not be allowed to, be a poly individual in their ideal world is just it's. I just want everybody to leave everyone else alone and let us live our lives. And yeah, I've got a lot of. This is a weird thing. A lot of hate for commies nowadays.
Sorry, yeah, what triggered that?
I don't like people telling me who I can or can't associate with.
Mm.
That is a really big deal for me. And the more I see governments intruding everywhere where they don't necessarily know what the hell they're doing, it just really infuriates me. Uh, it's weird. Like my parents escaped from Soviet Poland,
Oh.
and so they were constantly telling me about how awful communism is, and how awful life was when they had to stand in lines to get to the store for many hours, and then there was nothing on the shelves anyway. So my dad actually spent a year and a half in jail because he would not do the mandatory military service for the Soviets.
Whoa,
It's like,
based.
screw you guys. Yeah, seriously.
That's so
It-
cool.
yeah, I got a lot of respect for him. But over the years, they've trended a bit more socialist, where now they're like, maybe we should implement, something more like the Scandinavian model, where the government does a lot more. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, but also, you're starting to get close to that communism thing. And when I was a teenager, was like all teenagers, right? I think socialism is the best thing ever. Everyone should have infinite money and nobody should have to work. And I was all about, screaming along to the Rage Against the Machine songs, like burn the system down.
Your parents must have loved that.
And it's just been a very, very slow, gradual change over decades. And now I'm like, you know what? Just we need some guardrails, obviously, definitely some regulation, but there is so much overreach and everything, and I would like there to be less. And I'm okay with the system as it is, okay-ish, okay enough to live with it, right? Like I'm not going to complain if I'm dating someone who is okay with the world and okay with our government, but also like not pushing for more of that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That was a really long way of saying basically I'm a libertarian.
I understand. I'm right there with you, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like any I guess strong opinions about like alcohol or drugs or smoking or anything like this?
Not really. I do some alcohol. I do some drugs sometimes. If somebody else had a problem with that, then obviously that wouldn't work out
Hmm.
because I'm not about to stop dropping acid on Christmas. But
Oh, I gotta hear more about why Christmas specifically.
I don't know. It's just a good time for it. I love Christmas. It's such a warm, cheerful holiday. Everybody's happy, and like you can't do much of anything else because everything is closed down.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
gather with some people that you like, and the Christmas tree. It's perfect for acid, right? It's all done up with these reflecty balls and these lights all over it, and yeah, it's good.
I love this. That's actually brilliant. What a good tradition.
Yeah, it's the best tradition.
That's
We
really
start our own religion, dropping acid on Christmas. It's a thing.
perfect. Yeah, and then they'll have to legalize it specifically for you.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, actually, yeah, this seems like a tricky thing if you're poly, especially like how do holidays work if you're visiting people's families and stuff? Is it important to you to visit your family every year, or Do you kind of?
I have good news on that front. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so we never had any holiday things at all. I would always go with my partners to whatever they did, and now my family has like all of them dropped out of the Jehovah's Witness thing. It was shocking to me how this happened because I was the first one to leave at 14, and it was a big freaking deal at the time. And like my dad eventually, like he apparently had already been having doubts when I was 14 and just didn't say anything to me about it when I came out about it. And then just in the past 10 years, my mom herself has been like, yeah, I guess the church is kind of full of crap and sort of abusive.
Holy shit! Wait, how do they don't have Jehovah's Witnesses in Poland though? Do they?
They do.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
wow.
All over the place.
Oh, that's bonkers.
Yeah, they send out missions to other countries.
I guess one would. Yeah. Whoa. Well,
Yeah,
that's cool.
so
Oh, sorry.
even though they're not Jehovah's Witnesses now, they still have the tradition of not doing anything for holidays.
All right.
So yeah, I've always gone to my partners whatever they're doing.
Oh, that's great. That makes it convenient. You can visit your parents at your leisure.
Yeah.
Also, I
How
guess
about
when
you?
you're self-employed. Yeah. Do they
Yeah,
live close to you?
they do. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
grew up in Denver. They're still in the Denver area, and right now I'm actually fairly close to them. We're both in the Lakewood suburb, so
That's awesome. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, I drop by, once every week or two.
Oh, that's wholesome. Okay. Nice.
You keep using that word.
It's one of my favorite words. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's anything you think that we haven't covered or any like deal breakers or anything, or if you have a physical type or something, this makes it easier to keep an eye out for certain types of people, I guess.
No, which is interesting. I thought I had a type for a while, but I just seem to like a whole lot of different people.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. Like I don't know. In particular, I like large eyes. I like dark hair, but I've dated everyone. I've dated blonde people. I like the person matters more.
Mm. Oh, and I didn't ask if you have any.
Being hot is always great. So if you like to dance, that's a huge plus. I should probably clarify more of the freeform sort of hippie / goth dancing thing. I don't know how to partner dance very well. I would be happy to take lessons with someone though, because that sounds like a great thing to get better at. I did kind of think of one other thing. It's not a big deal, but I tend to get I don't know if worried is the right word, but I prefer for my partners to have like an other partner as well. Like sometimes if you're poly and then the one of the people you're with just doesn't have anyone else for a long time, I tend to get kind of weird about it.
Like worried about them kind of, or like feel like you have more responsibility towards them than you're comfortable with kind of.
That second one, yeah. And I know that's not necessarily great of me, and I am kind of working on that too. But yeah,
This makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have like limited time and attention, right? So if you're distributing your time and attention among multiple people, it is better for everybody. I think if the other person can do the same or prefers alone time or something.
yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
So probably the hardest thing about dating me is that I tend to be kind of slutty. Um, I have a very hard time not reciprocating interest in myself, and also sometimes even if there is an initial interest in myself, there's like I'll see someone, I'm like, ooh, they're shiny and new. I'm gonna go pursue that for a while, and that has caused some conflict in the past with partners. That can cause hurt feelings and things, and so there's that. It's
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I get distracted by the ooh shiny thing more often than other people, and I'll just be like, oh my god, I'm totally in love with this other person for a bit, and then I come back, but it's
That makes sense, yeah.
the whole thing with me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure some people are totally fine with that or do the same thing too. So it seems like a low jealousy type person is exceptionally good for you, probably. Seems low
Yeah,
stress.
yeah, and I'm trying to be more considerate about people and work that interest of mine into, or that aspect of me into different ways of being when I'm together with someone. So it's an ongoing project.
What do you mean by that?
Um, well, right. Partly by that I mean things like making sure that if I am with someone on like at an event or something, specifically that I am going to be focusing just on them and not getting distracted by other things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a thing that I had learned. Also, despite what I said earlier about my ideal living situation, which I still think is kind of true, I sometimes think maybe it would be best for me to not live with someone because sometimes I don't know. This is a thing that I'm just exploring right now. I don't know how it really is or how it's going to shake out, but sometimes I feel like when I'm with like living with someone, then it tends to become more of a take someone for granted. They're always there kind of thing, and then easier to get distracted with other people. Whereas like with this person that I'm dating right now, the long distance relationship, like we only see each other every few weeks, and so when we're together, we are on. It is just them, and it is such a great feeling. But I don't know if that would persist if we were to move in together.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's also sort of just the problem people have being in like long-term relationships and trying to figure out how to keep things shiny. Yeah, that is a tricky problem, but it's possible living by yourself. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you'll be living on your own for a bit to see if.
I will, but I think I would be sad if I was spending the rest of my life living alone.
Yeah, right. I wonder if an arrangement with like living with a bunch of friends, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like ideally you would like be with people who have a similar sort of mindset and I don't know, are able to understand it. I don't know. Yeah, that is a bit tricky though.
What we need is a really big duplex, and all the guys stay on one half, and all the ladies on the other half.
like on one of those reality shows. That's actually not a terrible idea. That's really funny.
Yeah, oh, that would be great.
That sounds like a blast, actually.
Well, if you are interested in that, look me up, ladies.
What was yours?
I was in a tent out in
Oh,
the furthest part over by the trees.
how was that?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was so good. I mean, I like that kind of living. I like that thing at Burning Man. I liked when I lived in a big ass house on Oxford for a week. Like whenever you wake up, there's just people all around, and and it was wonderful. And that's when I realized I really want to live in a group house because you can just unzip your front door and there's everybody, and it's great.
That is really nice. Wait, you've been to Burning Man? Is this a thing you do regularly or?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I've
oh
been
shit.
I've been 4 times. This will be my fifth this year.
Okay, cool. Oh, and then yeah, so do you like the outdoors in general? Do you like to go camping a bunch or is it mostly Burning Man type of stuff?
I'm not really an outdoorsy person.
Hmm.
I think I would probably enjoy camping just based on how much I like going to like Vibe Camp and Burning Man.
Hmm.
Although also not camping alone, like camping with a whole group of people, and ideally a whole bunch of other weirdos that are similarly minded. So maybe it's not the camping, maybe it's the people. I don't know.
That makes sense, yeah. Wherever you take them is fun, but
Yeah,
all right, cool.
I'm not against camping, but I don't do a lot of outdoorsy things. It would ruin my goth look if I were to get a tan. So
Right. Yeah, you gotta keep your skin pale.
yeah.
Foundation's expensive.
It is, yeah. And sunscreen, man, it's so annoying putting it on all the time.
Honestly, yeah. Better just not to go outside.
Right? Yeah. Stay hidden in the dark.
Take night walks.
Yes. Night walks are kind of depressing.
Oh, really? I really like them. Do you mostly like the people? Is that why you like daytime
I,
stuff?
yeah. Like the night, it feels like. I mean, I go to goth clubs, so there's a lot of people around. But if I'm just like taking a walk out in the suburbs, it feels very, I guess, well, alienating, lonely. It's dark, it's empty. There's a lot of space. There's all these bright lights that look like stars that are just irid so far away you could never reach them or anything. So it's yeah, I tend to come back inside quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Be kind of nice if there were just towns that were nocturnal.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
There must be
Well,
cities that are a bit like this. It's mostly probably where people are drinking a bunch, and I feel like it would just be pleasant to be. I just want vampires to be real. That's all.
yeah, we can do this. We can collect them all.
Collect all the vampires?
From what I've heard, Denver has like one of the most thriving goth scenes in the nation,
No
which
shit.
surprised me. Yeah, I didn't realize this. I traveled to a couple other major cities, and it was harder to find places compared to Denver. But on the other hand, also here in Denver, like I know where all the things are,
That
which
makes
makes a
sense.
big difference. It's harder to just Google things out of the blue. So maybe if I were to stay, a few months in some city and really go looking, I could find.
I think at one point I did try to look up like where are all the goth clubs, but I gave up on this because I like specifically wanted like the ones that were into like post punk and this type of music, and not so much like industrial and like electronic stuff. And I was just like, I assume there's like a network of bad people who all talk about this stuff.
Yep, I'm now that I'm actually going out on the patio where people used to smoke, where no one smokes anymore, but they still gather sometimes.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I go out there now, and I'm actually trying to start conversations, and yeah,
hell
getting.
yeah, that's awesome. How do people respond?
Oh my God, Goths are like I said, the total nerds. The friendly. Did I say that? I don't remember if I said that. But Goths are absolute nerds. They're just friendly and happy that anyone's going to talk to them. It's one of those things where generally people aren't going to walk up to you and talk with you because we're all incredibly social, awkward, shy people. But if you like go up and start a conversation with people, the vast majority of the time they're like, "Oh my God, someone's talking to me. This is the best thing."
Because I
It's
always
like
want to
in the
talk to
movie.
goths.
What?
I always want to talk to goths, but they usually look like introverted and like standoffish in a way where I'm like, I can't tell if they're just shy or if they really don't want to talk to anybody. So I don't
Mhm.
want like I'm scared to bother them, but note to
Mhm.
self, bother the goths.
Absolutely. If someone's in a really don't want to talk to you mood, they'll let you know.
Okay.
And I haven't had that happen yet, but
Nice.
maybe one of these days I will. This is open to anyone.
Okay.
If you are in the Denver area and you would like to meet me, and I don't care if you consider a date or not, because meeting people is just meeting people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes somewhere and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, DM me on Twitter or email me, and I would be happy to meet anybody for anything.